welcome to Kankakee Podcast, where we talk about the people and places of Kankakee County. I'm Jake LaMore, and today we're diving into a special episode featuring an incredible group of young leaders from the Pledge for Life Partnership Youth Advisory Council. In this roundtable discussion, we'll be exploring the issues that matter most to Kankakee County's youth: mental health, education, and the resources they need to thrive. These students are not only sharing their challenges, but also their ideas and solutions for building a brighter future in our community. So join us as we hear directly from the next generation of Kankakee County's leaders about the changes they hope to see and the role we all play in making them happen. Let's get started. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Now, I think we should start by just getting everyone's names. Yeah, so you can start.
Do you want me to say my grades?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Hello, my name is Maya Crawford. I'm a senior and I go to Bradley Bourbonnais Community High School.
I'm Maya Anderson and I'm a senior at St. Anne Community High School.
I'm Matthew Case. I'm a junior at Kankakee High School.
Okay, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
So, we've got some very important topics I want to discuss today. And the first one up is mental health here in Kankakee County. And, how do each of you feel about, how mental health is addressed in the schools that you attend?
I think mental health has definitely been brought up as an important topic. I think a lot of the teachers and counselors do a great job at showing us the resources available from hotlines and websites, and even providing themselves with their counseling services and also outside counseling services in the county and community that can come in for not only us independently, but there's also family counseling that's available, and I think they do a great job at promoting those.
Okay.
I've seen that. I mean, I've heard a lot about counselors who are available in our schools, and you can just go right down to their office and talk with them at any time. And there's posters for mental health services everywhere. So you've got the resources you need, and it's really good to see that.
Okay. You're Maya too, right? We got two Mayas.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm just now putting that together. Jim told me that a minute ago. What's your thoughts on the school you attend? Do you feel like there are adequate mental health resources? And literally, don't be afraid to call them out too, because that's why you guys are here.
Yeah.
That's why this group exists, because you're here to be the whistleblowers and say, hey, this is not right in my school or in my friend's school,
I think that there's definitely a lot of initiatives that have been taken to kind of normalize conversation and kind of end the stigma around mental health. We have a lot of organizations and clubs and counselors that are actively trying to welcome kids in so that they feel comfortable going out into spaces and having conversations about mental health. But I definitely think that there are some disparities and disconnects, when you look specifically at demographics. So if you look at Black mental health, or you look at men's mental health, or mental health within the LGBTQ community, there's different sections where we can go deeper into our mental issues and how to really assess those. And I think that my school does a good job at offering those resources, but I do think they're lacking in a lot of representation that I feel is necessary for kids to feel like they have an open space to where they can feel comfortable to talk about things like that. And I think that that's kind of us as a collective, our society in general. But I think that there's definitely some work to do in that aspect.
Do you have any ideas specifically how they can improve upon those things? Because I would love to hear those.
Yeah, so I think that specific training, and I know my school is really working towards equity and racial education and stuff like that to ensure that those gaps are kind of bridged. We are lacking in representation in our school in terms of our staff and our counselors. So I think that by educating teachers on having either more intersectional conversations about mental health is really important, and getting adequate training. So when students have issues, because you might have different mental health diagnosis, or you might have certain things that are an issue that can be applied to everyone, but specific demographics of people and specific types of people, it's a more like nuanced situation. And I feel like in order to have a good response to that, there has to be some sort of training and some sort of education and initiative to understand those different intersections, so that it's a comfortable space for everyone and they truly feel like they're being represented in some way.
I feel like we should just let her take over. That was great. Give her a round of applause. Come on. That was great. Really great. So I guess getting to, maybe this was mentioned, but maybe getting deeper into it, what can you specifically name a resource that you've either seen in action or have used yourself at your school or connected to your school that was just like such a big help, whether it was for you, family member, friend, if you can think of any directly?
One, it's not really at a school level, it's at like a county, and I even think a statewide level. It's the 988 crisis hotline. I think my school does a great job of promoting it. There's a lot of posters everywhere and resources, even like on our website, and they talk about it like during mental health week and in health class. And it's a hotline that I know people that have used it, and there's been presentations about it that's available 24/7 for, it's like free access. If you're in a crisis, even like suicidal, or even just a lot of stress, it's like a free counseling service that's available to everyone. And I think it's a great resource that we have for students, parents, staff, and really anyone that needs that help.
Yeah, it's still such a new service. I think, what is it? Does anyone know it's 2 years old, maybe at this point? Something like that, 988 is. So still very much in its infancy. So there's still a lot of people that actually don't
and
know.
I think it's a great resource. And it's not even just the hotline that's available. And I think some of the other resources people should be aware of, it's like they have locations like Mantino with Sika where you can go in and get actual counseling services. Or if you actually need to go somewhere and you need physical help, or you physically need to be like, I need somewhere to calm down, that there are places they can go. And it's not just a crisis hotline. There's other resources. And through like their website and stuff, there's places where we can seek specific help. And there's even like texting if you don't feel like you're in the space to call, because sometimes that is a lot, especially if you're in a moment of crisis. There's just a text to even just be like, hey, what can I do? How can I calm down? I'm struggling with this. And that's a really great resource that people can utilize.
Absolutely. Anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought of this. We have IDs that we have to wear. Everybody has to wear one. And they recently, I think maybe it was last year, they started printing out like the National Suicide Hotline. And then I think they also put 988, but they put some numbers like on the back of it that you have automatically, and you can see them and you know of them and you can call them.
Okay. Now, it changes every generation for people, teenagers. Like when I was a teenager, I faced different things than your generation is facing. Same thing with Jim, like his generation faced different things than my generation faced, and so on and so on. So what are some of the challenges that teenagers are facing specifically in Kankakee County right now, you feel like?
I feel like this is kind of a given, and you probably know what I'm going to say before I say it.
Hey, there's a lot of things.
I'll say it together. Like social media is definitely a huge factor, and it contributes to a lot of like rising mental health issues. And it kind of exasperates them a bit more, because we have so much access to so many things online. It can be such a great thing to like help people find community and unify themselves, but it can also be a place where people can feel extremely isolated. There's of course like cyberbullying, which happens a lot, which affects so many people. And there's also so much like harmful rhetoric posted and pushed out on social media, and all you have to do is like click on one video and then your entire For You page will be full of it. And then there's lots of different expectations that are set for students or just like teenagers in general. Like I feel like especially for like teenage girls, there's a certain like body type, or there's a certain look, and there's a certain expectation for the way you're supposed to present yourself. And I feel like having that weigh on you, as like you believe that social media is just as real as everyday life. These people look the way they look on Instagram, like they do when you would see them walking down the street.
Right. They always
really
look happy.
Yeah.
And everything, their life just looks perfect,
Yeah.
and even when things are bad, somehow it looks perfect. I don't know how that is, but it's the reality of that non-reality, Sorry, go ahead.
I think another place is the stress of success. It's pushed on us for so long, whether it's academically or in sports or clubs. There's so much of a stress of like deciding your future so young and being successful, and like during tests or taking AP classes or honor classes, and you have to hit this certain grade. You have to understand this. You have to do this. And I feel like it's pushed on us so much as a checklist, where it's like, you have to hit this grade. You have to graduate. You have to go on to college. You have to do this. Like, success is so defined, like, monetarily by, like, your awards and your money.
Well, you go to Bishop McNamara, right?
I go to St. Anne.
You go to St. Anne. Or one of you goes to Bishop Mac, right? No? Oh, that was someone else. Oh, it was you. Okay. I was just saying that was my experience at Bishop Mac, because that's where I went to high school.
Yeah.
And it's a college prep school. So,
and I think it's important to prep us for our future, like to succeed and to be successful in life. Obviously, you have to have knowledge and obtain that. But I feel like it's also important to push that success is so much more than how much money you have in the bank account or how many awards you have in your name. And I think they can always teach us like the importance of the people around you. And it's like, just the people around you and the experiences you have. And that's what makes life worth living, not just the amount of money or what car you have, or if you have your doctorate degree. I mean, they're all amazing, but that's not where you truly get happiness.
That is so true. Well said. Well said. Yeah, give her a round of applause for that. Man. So does anyone have any questions for this group while they're up here? Because I do want to open it up to others if you happen to have any questions. Yes.
I have a question for you guys. What do you guys think is the best way to talk about mental health with high schoolers or with people that are younger? And I know like right now, a lot of young people are really woke about mental health. I don't know if woke is still a thing. But
It's still a thing. Woke is still a thing, yes.
100%.
Great. So what do you guys think is the best way to kind of engage with young people that maybe is it a club? Is it an event? What do you guys think is the best way to kind of reach young people?
And before you answer, so because Rosa's off mic, so I kind of have to speak for her, but her question was, what are the best ways to engage with teenagers to talk about mental health? What are your thoughts on that? Great question, by the way.
I would say events, definitely. I would say in high school, when there's a big event and you get called like out of class and you can go to the gym and they've set up like all these tables around and everybody's got pamphlets and like different stations, that's really engaging. It's like a fun thing. You get to talk with people all over the community. So I think if an event like that was involved with mental health, I think you'd get a lot of kids like interested in that more so.
Okay.
I think one way almost is to like break the stigma is to make it less an event and just include it in everyday conversations, whether as a teacher, a coach, a parent, because it doesn't have to be like this big special talk that there's a lot of anxiety over. It can just be like casually in a conversation, bringing it up, asking how they're doing. And that's almost a great way to break the stigma, to just have it be incorporated and not just like in its own zone, in its own like
in
thing.
your face.
Yeah,
right.
it's just
yeah,
like it's just always
just
there.
being present.
Yes, just being normalized.
Yes. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Just like I think it's Jim in the commercials. You say, "Keep showing up. They're still growing up." Right. Yeah. Just like that. Just being there makes a big difference. And hopefully alleviates the pressure of you just feeling comfortable to be able to talk about that. Anything to add, Maya? No, I'm really surprised. Okay. So I just want to make sure we have enough time for the other topics, but is there anything that you want to add about mental health? I know this could go on forever because as Maya said, social media I mean, that is a big
whole
chunk of
conversation.
it. I will say one question that I thought of that I will ask, you know, and actually bringing up, you're talking about events, you know, with being in such a digital age and social media having such a presence, do you feel like your generation is craving more in-person events, activities, etc. in this hugely digital world, or do you think it's the opposite?
I think that I don't know. It depends on who you talk to. I don't think that we're craving it, but I think it's necessary.
Okay.
Like, I feel like with a lot of people, we can communicate so effectively over our phone. Just in like confrontation, it's so easy to get into like a back and forth on text. But then when you get in person, like it's becomes a completely different situation. And so I feel like we are reluctant to those in-person talks, to those in-person conversation, and social media is really important to like spreading the word. But I feel like we need to get comfortable with having those conversations with one another and like navigating our feelings in real time without a screen to protect us. Cause like you can leave someone on red for a day, but if you're talking to someone,
depending on the person, right?
if you're talking to someone face to face, then you really have to like sit in that moment with your feelings and you can't hide it. So I really think that like putting us like in it cold turkey, just like polar plunging, is really important to shake some of that off.
Yeah, it's a great reminder. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that, or just any other things you want to say about mental health?
I also think it's important to also focus on the younger generation. It's like when COVID hit, for at least like for my age, like that was like 7th, 8th grade. But there are people who like they're freshmen or junior high now, and that happened when they were a lot younger. And I feel like almost they need some of those events and socialization more and those talks more because for me, I know a lot of crucial times around that age of like 6th, 7th, 8th grade or like younger than that, elementary school, and they missed out on a lot of those. And that's when a lot of crucial like social skills are developed. And so making sure that as they grow up, that they know about mental health. And I'm not sure when the talks start, when they start talking about anxiety and depression and just that there are resources to help. I hope it starts when they're younger because having that implemented when they're younger, just being like, hey, if you need help, if you're feeling really sad, you know, there's somebody you can talk to. And I think that's important for the younger.
I think that's something that Project Sun works on, right? Is if I'm not mistaken, Project Sun teaches like as soon as possible, right? Even when the child is a toddler, correct? It's important to talk about anxiety and any type of feeling. So yeah, I mean, as soon as they can comprehend it, it's important to talk about it.
Yeah, and I also think that like adding on to what we need to work with like younger students, but I also feel like we need to talk to parents a lot because I know especially like in the Black community, I can really only speak from my experience and my family, but a lot of times parents see mental health issues as like a failure in the way that they've been training and like, preparing this kid for the future, for their world past their home. And when kids bring up that they're struggling with their mental health or they feel a certain way that's incredibly vulnerable to even talk about, the parents automatically get defensive because they feel like, well, this is a lapse in my parenting. Like this is like it's an attack on me, right?
But a parent could do everything right, and you could still have huge mental health challenges.
Yes. And then 1000%. And I feel like that also delays the process in getting help. Like parents will be so defensive and they kind of have this idea of like, well, that's not my kid. My kid doesn't need that help because I did everything right and the way I parented. So I'm going to delay this and I'm going to prolong this and I'm going to let this issue, and they may not fully be aware of this, but I feel like it's so important for them to know this issue will just like compile upon itself to the point where like they can't do anything more. And it becomes this like extreme issue that's like incredibly apparent where you have to take these like huge steps. But if you paid attention to it at its beginnings and you really saw it for what it was, then it didn't have to like grow to that capacity. Yes. And I feel like with parents, and especially in the Black community, realizing that mental health issues or anything going on with your kids isn't your fault. It's something that's genuinely happening with your child, and it needs attention and it needs recognition as soon as possible, because some things are like detrimental and they can end really poorly.
I hope parents who are listening to this, or even future parents listening to this, really take note on that. And myself being a parent, it's something I try to remind myself too, is that it's just it's something we have to accept, and we have to work through it instead of trying to ignore it or, take blame. All the things you said. So that was great. Anything you want to add to that?
I'm okay.
She really hit that one out of the park. So.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's give this group a round of applause. That was so great. Thank you so much. Now, who were the other three that wanted to participate? Okay. And if there's others that have changed their mind, please speak up. So the next topic is education and school life. So does anyone want to speak on that? Okay. Let's bring you, let's trade out and bring you three in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And let's give a shout out to Waylon, by the way, who's helping with audio. Or Marlon, not Waylon.
Good job, Marlon.
Listen to me. I'm so sorry, Marlon.
Already. At least I'm heavy.
I have no idea where Waylon came from.
Yeah, it's like
But
heavy.
Marlon is the bomb.
I know. It's like
All right.
this is crazy.
So next topic, education and school life. Obviously, this can kind of coincide with mental health as well. But, this is a big one, especially considering, the pandemic was brought up. And that has obviously affected all of us. But every single person in this room was in school during that time, in one grade or another. And I can't imagine what that was like, and what, even to this day, what you must be feeling like, some of the things you missed out on, or maybe you finally feel like you're catching up and learning some of the things that you were supposed to learn, and that sort of thing. But let's go down the line and just introduce everyone, and say your name, where you're from, that kind of thing.
All right, so my name is Regan Kaner. I'm a junior at Bishop McNamara Catholic School. Go Irish. That's pretty much me.
And I'm Cassidy Novak, and I'm also a junior at Bishop McNamara Catholic School.
My name is Akira Lewis, and I am from Kankakee High School from 11th grade. Go Case.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome all of you. So let's start this off. What do you think schools in Kankakee County, what do you think they're doing right? What do you think they're doing well? The schools that you've attended. It doesn't matter if it's current or if it's past. What do you think they're doing right?
I can speak for my school, so I'm a student at Bishop McNamara, and one thing that really stands out to me in my school is the sense of community that I feel. It is a smaller school compared to, like, say, Kankakee or BBCHS, but there's really a sense of, like, everybody and everybody knows you, and it's more of like a family is how I describe it to people. And we're a Catholic school as well, so we, surround our education and God and our religion and our faith. And I think that really brings us together.
Yeah. I think even without the faith components, I would, being an alum of Bishop Mac, I would say that's pretty accurate. It's very community driven.
Yes, absolutely.
And that just could be the nature of the beast of having a private school, because you kind of have to pull together a little more to get your funding, to do your fundraising and all that stuff.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, so another perspective on this, I also go to Bishop Mac, but up until 7th grade, I went to Piatone, which is about the same size as Bishop Mac, but it's in Will County. And coming from a public school, transferring into 7th grade, 8th grade, completely 100% different experience. Like, can't even explain it to you.
This makes you very unique, because I also did both public and private school, and not a lot of people get that experience.
It's completely different. It's not even like I went to Bishop Mac my first day, and I'm like, is this even like a school? It didn't even feel like I was at school. And we learned so much different things in the different schools. And just the main thing is that, like, at my old school, we didn't really focus on preparing for the next grade as much. It was kind of just in the present. And at Bishop Mac, we really focus on that next step.
Okay.
And especially most of high school is we're focusing on college, which is where we all end up mostly. I mean, the rate of our graduation class going to the trades in college is near 100%.
Yes.
Everybody goes somewhere, which is a good thing, I think, for the community. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think for Kankakee, they have a better provide system that can help the students educate and learn how to be a better student and how to graduate high school. That's what I think.
Okay. Very good. That's all very helpful. What challenges are students facing right now in schools in our county, you feel like, that you've seen or even just experienced yourself?
I think, well, I said before, we're kind of a college preparatory school.
Yes.
And I think the main challenge for us, especially as juniors, is just that idea of getting into college. And from first day of freshman year, that's what they're instilling in us, is this idea of this is where you need to be. And if you look at the demographics of people getting into college right now, everybody has the same ACT score. Everybody has all A's. Everybody is valedictorian for the upper schools. And it's hard even just comparing, and you feel like going out of the way to do everything you possibly can to try to stand out, like service. Especially our school service is a huge thing. But I feel like that's just the hardest part right now, is trying to compare with not even just people in your high school, but everybody around the globe who's competing for these top schools.
Yes. You guys have to do service hours still?
Yes.
Yeah.
15 a year.
15?
A year.
Yeah.
15 a year. Okay. I think I can't remember what it was. We had to have 50 by we graduated or something like that. 50 or 100. I can't remember. It's
Yeah.
been so long.
It's 60 when we graduate now.
60. Okay. I think it was 50 when I graduated. But anyway, that's besides the point. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
I was also just kind of like piggyback off of that. Along with the like academic aspect of it, there's also this sense of like comparison and like you're not good enough. That's what I've seen a lot, like in my classes, and like just like comparing yourself to other students and thinking that like, oh, because I don't have a 35 on the ACT, like I'm not gonna succeed. And that's not the case.
Yeah.
It's really not.
No.
And also going back to that mental health discussion that we had earlier, you're obviously, your grades don't define you. You know what I mean? Your test scores don't define you. You're defined by what's in your heart and what's in your soul. So
Well
that's
said.
my thoughts.
Very well said. Yeah. Would you like to add anything?
I like to step into poverty. A big rate in how students' education is really like stepping off. But like when you're in higher poverty, you have like more students not paying attention, like more students not like having, it's so hard to explain, but like it's they not having the type of point of view that they have like when you're in low poverty. Students are paying more and they get support from their school more than high poverty students get, which lead to students having mental health issues and like not getting what they're going to, like their grades are dropping, and then they expect you like to, oh, you have to bring it up. But then you look at it and like, it's like, I ain't gonna lie, me, Algebra 2 is struggling on my half because I can't like focus, like it's really hard. Like they don't step it up to like actually teach us how to do it. They just like step up and like back down, like don't even know what to do.
So do you feel like you're just not getting the proper help or just the proper instruction on how to do Algebra 2?
Yeah, and like I'm just saying, like with Kankakee, they have like they're a high poverty school, so they're not focused on their students like a low poverty school. Like I don't know which low poverty school in Kankakee County, but like they have more steps. Like KTA has more steps in their progressing and helping their students make sure they prepare for college and all of that, and make sure their kids have the best education they can have. While Kankakee literally slacks on everything. BB is probably a medium poverty school, and we don't know. But like I feel like they need to step up their game. Like it's like something that Kankakee has to work on properly to focus on their students and make sure that everybody get the proper care that they need to learn.
Yeah, I mean, that is so important. And to piggyback off of that, then, what do you wish was, and each one of you have a chance to answer this, what do you wish types of programs or classes were available then to help the students through these challenges.
But like what I said, like Kankakee has Twilight to help the students bring up their grade, and like they have all types of programs like Sunday school, Saturday school to help their students like bring up their grades and everything. Like it's still not helpful enough. Like the students need to go on tutoring and like all of that to help them with it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would agree. I don't think our situation is going to be 100% for the entire Kankakee County for sure. I think the best thing that our school offers is that we focus on college prep. Like we have a college skills class, and we really prepare for that next step. I think many schools could focus more on the future as well, and offering more resources for students that are in more poverty rates for sure. But yeah, what do you think, Regan?
Kind of going a little bit off topic here, but I think when you said like what clubs or like classes could be offered to like advocate for stuff, I think that a huge problem among teens in our area and the US and the world is definitely like abusive alcohol and drugs and vapes and stuff like that. And I kind of wish that there was more talks about how like in schools about how that can ruin your life if you abuse that stuff in high school and do that stuff in high school, because it's crazy. Like being a part of the youth advisory council, I've learned so many things and seen so many things that really opened my eyes to what's going on in the community among teens and kids, and it's a horrible thing, and it's very sad to look at. And I feel like there needs to be more talks in schools about like how that can affect you, because I feel like teens and kids think that doing that kind of stuff makes them fit in and it makes them look cool, and it's kind of normalized in like media even.
Yes.
And shows and movies and online, and it shouldn't be like that. It should not be like that at all. So I just think that there should be more talks and maybe like clubs where we advocate to not do that.
Yeah. And maybe, Jim, you can back me up on this. I could be wrong, but vaping products are highly more addictive than cigarettes, right? Yeah. So, I mean, just that alone, like when I was in school, we didn't really have, like vaping might have just been coming on the thing, but it wasn't exactly a thing yet. And now your generation is facing that. And as you said, it's even easier to get your hands on it and also just conceal it and, do it whenever is convenient. So, yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like if you look at the statistics about like how likely you are to get addicted to drugs and alcohol if you start at a younger age, like it's honestly like horrifying to see. And the kids that are doing this are the kids that aren't prioritizing their academics. So then this is just become a cycle for them. And then they're going to fall back into drugs and alcohol again, which is just, when you start it, it's hard to get out of it.
Yeah. What are some things that you think the schools could do in Kankakee County that could better prepare students for life after graduation? I can't help, I'm sorry, but like I never used Algebra 2. Like, I actually failed Algebra 2 in high school, to be completely honest with you. But I've never ever once used it. But there's all these other skills that I've come across in my life that I didn't learn, that I need to use these skills every day, but I was never properly taught them. So what are some of those skills that you can just kind of like foresee maybe when you cross that finish line and, you got your high school diploma and you're on with the next chapter in your life?
I think that these ideas of like the next chapter in your life could be incorporated into like your classes more. Like say you learn about like money and finances maybe in like your math classes, or you read up on current events in your history classes or whatever, those kind of things. I just think that it's very important for people to stay informed, and I think that that's one way to do it.
Have you heard or seen any of like that type of education being provided anywhere?
Somewhat.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure, but in my school we try to incorporate that kind of stuff.
Okay.
as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think the biggest question you have coming out of high school is like, okay, you did it, you graduated. Now what do I do now? Or like, how do I be an adult now?
Yes.
Like, we don't even know how to do our taxes when we get out of high school, and that's just immediately our issue to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, I think a finance class, we don't have finance classes at our school. That would be a huge skill to have. And also current events, like Regan said. We have so many history classes, but we don't really talk about what's going on like right now, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and that's super important because when you, when people are graduating high school, you're turning 18 or
Yes.
close to turning 18 when you're able to vote.
You're voting.
But then, how do you know if you're making the right decision?
Yeah, I guess it's just your parents.
Right. You go off your
Influence.
parents. But again, like, are you getting everything you need from your parents?
Exactly. I don't think a lot of kids are researching the election. I think they're hearing at home and they're not hearing like facts at school about what's actually going on. So I think that'll help kind of transition better into adulthood for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would love to know what you think.
I think that like my dad told me that like they should focus on the stuff that we actually basically need for school and like not the stuff that we don't need. Like we don't need algebra 3, 2, or 1. We do need geometry because we need architecture.
Yeah.
That's the only one we need, but we don't need algebra 1 and 2.
Yeah. I don't think we need zero algebra. I just don't, I think we need a little more other basic stuff.
But I feel like when I said like, it's like the schools, they have an ecosystem, like they try to put kids out for success, but they're actually putting them for failure. I don't want to it got so silent in here.
Ear turned off.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I can relate to that. So, is there anything else you want to add about education and school life? I know we mainly talked about the education component, but obviously school life is beyond that as well. So, extracurriculars and all that.
Yeah, I think
all that stuff too.
Yeah, I think that one thing that my school personally could do better is offering more clubs and like extracurricular activities for the students. That's something that we fall short compared to other schools in our area.
It's tough.
And I think that there's so much potential within our student body that should be utilized through initiatives going out into the community and even in our own school.
Yeah.
I feel like with clubs and everything, I feel like with the coaches of every sports and like everything on Kankakee High School, they have favorites, and like that makes it harder for new people to be on the team and everything. And with clubs, I feel like they should offer more clubs because they don't have no types of club that people like. Like they got chess, math, and science, and like people want to join cooking club and all of that, but they don't have all those type of cooking like with all those clubs.
A kitchen equipped at home necessarily,
Yeah.
or maybe even at the school. Is that what you're saying?
They have a kitchen they have culinary, but they don't have a cooking club though. That's the only thing.
Oh, they have culinary, but they don't have a cooking club?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
But with it's making it harder for students to like actually engage in sports and activities. Like,
yeah,
that's all I have to say.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, the one thing I do really love about our school is like our student government. We have like sectors of our government, so it's like all student ran, and we have like an academic sector, an activity sector, sports. So I'm academic, and I feel like it really helps engage like people into like the choices our school makes. So a lot of our school decisions are like made by the students. So everybody, it's more of a welcoming environment and a more tight-knit environment. Especially with teachers. Like teachers are very open to people coming up to them about anything, and our classes are so small that it's really easy to ask questions and stuff. But going back to clubs, I think we have like 5 clubs at our school, and I think I might be in every single one. And none of our clubs really aim towards anything in the future. Like I know some schools have like engineering clubs or math club. Like we don't even have I don't think we have a math club. I don't think we have a math club.
I don't know if there was a math club when I was there either. There was I can't remember the name of it now. There was something similar to it, but it wasn't math.
Scholastic Bowl, maybe?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
That's what we have. Yeah, it's trivia. I'm in that one.
Okay, that still exists. Yeah, and of course, they were still teaching French when I went to school there, so I was in French club. So
yeah, we do have a Spanish club.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
I was going to say there's a Spanish club for sure. But,
Yeah. I feel like, just more inclusivity in the clubs. We also don't really have much representative clubs for our different demographics at all.
Okay.
And I feel like that would be really beneficial for our students to feel more included as well.
Yeah. Could not agree more.
One last thing. I wish that like the schools in our area could come together more for like a common good. Like instead of just like I know BB versus Mac rivalry is huge, but I wish that there was more opportunities for us to like work together towards something to benefit the community. You know what I mean? And obviously this is a great space to do that.
I was going to say, this is what
a great space.
YAC
and
is,
I think
right?
that there should be more of this. You know what I mean?
Could not agree more.
I've met so many people through this.
Let's get a round of applause for that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, absolutely. There does need to be more things like this.
I've had so many like amazing experiences, and I met so many great people through this, and I think that there should be more of this in the community.
Yeah.
It's
Could
fun
not-
and it's great, and
Could
it's
not agree more.
Yeah.
That always bothered me as a teenager, is the constant rivalry between the schools. Because sometimes it was taken a little too far.
Oh,
Way too
yeah.
far.
You know?
Way too
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I agree with that. Well, thank you so much for all your input. I really
Thank
loved
you.
hearing from each one of you. So thank you. Let's give this group a round of applause as well.
Thank you.
You guys can step down.
right.
Thank you so
you.
much. So this clap. Go on, clap, please. I feel like this last topic of discussion is actually, in my opinion, it can be the most fun, just because we're talking about things like futuristic things and things that you wish existed out in the community. So this is outside of school. So who wants to talk about the future or ideas they have for Kankakee County? We got one. Anyone else want to come up? Even if you can be a repeat if there's no one else interested. You want to talk about the future. I know this group has ideas. I know you do. Yeah, there you go. All right. Let's give them a round of applause. Is it the Maya squared again? All right. I love that.
She can have the mic because we've already talked.
Welcome back. So we have Maya and Maya joining us once again. And what is your name?
I'm Gabriela Fuentes, and I'm a junior at Kankakee High School.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Gabriela. So let's talk about the future. What ideas do you have for programs, events, anything community related in Kankakee County? Could even be business related, or maybe something like that you want to do when you're done with school. Anything.
I am like kind of really into local government, and there was like a proposed mental health tax, but it was denied. And I hope that like having like this group of a bunch of young people becoming like the legal age to vote will like help push our county to have more of those opportunities.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned that. I actually forgot about that until you brought it up again, because I don't know if that's been brought up to try and pass that referendum again. But yeah, that's a good point. So you're you're totally pushing for something like that. Like you would get behind that.
Yeah, like I feel like it's really important to like educate people about what's happening like just in our local government and how funding is given to different groups and how we can better serve those people even as individuals, like who we should sponsor.
Yes, absolutely. I so many mental health care organizations or any type of affiliations I talk to, they keep telling me that yes, we're talking so much more about mental health, but we're still like just at like the tip of the iceberg, and then there's still this huge chunk of it underwater that we're not even seeing yet, which blows my mind because we're talking so much more about it than we were 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago even. So it's amazing to think that it's still not enough. So there just needs to be more things. So that's great. How about either of the Mayas? What do you have to say?
I think one thing that would be really cool or fun to see in the county is a student-based, almost like media or publication, or even having them reach out to like a newspaper or magazine base that kind of connects all of the schools, almost like Regan says, or it's like something where we can all come together. In Kankakee County, I know they have it in like some counties around us where it's like they must choose like a student or group of students from each school, and they contribute like a little article or picture about something that their school that's happening in the school, something important that's been done. And I think that'd be great to connect all of the schools, like the big ones like BB, Kankakee, Bishop Mack, and then like the surrounding ones like
the smaller ones.
Yeah, St. Anne, Moments,
Herscher.
Grand Park.
Yeah.
Everyone, and I think that'd be so great to see us kind of come together, and it helps people in the county see what's happening all across the county.
Yeah.
And like in the rural areas and the urban areas, and it would just be a great way to see positive things that are happening and the different things that are happening, because there's so many different things happening in different schools. Like I'm really big in FFA and agriculture, and I know I have friends even in my school, but especially in like Kankakee and BB, they have no idea what FFA is, what agriculture is.
What is that?
And like, I know I've talked to people how I'm studying for agronomy, that competition that's in a few weeks, and they're like, what is that? And I think it'd be such a great way to promote the variety of things that are here at the local level, because there are so many great things happening in our schools.
Yeah. You're the second teenager I've actually talked to about that recently. I've actually got an idea for something like that, but I'm not going to give away the details. But I will just say that I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. There needs to be a county-wide media outlet of some kind where teens from different parts of the county can come together and they can create their own stories and podcasts and whatever type of media publication it is. So.
Yeah, and I think like my level, it's easy to see all the amazing things happening from like my friends' like Instagram posts and stories. But like talking to my parents or grandparents, they know what's happening in like my school, obviously at that level, but like they couldn't tell you anything, the positives happening in other schools, or even like we'll have the conversation where they're like, I wish that somebody would do something about this. And I'm like, it is happening in BB, and like, things are happening, but sometimes people just aren't aware of them.
Yeah.
Especially like really great things, like the different clubs and the different programs that are being formed for like diversity, or like different educational clubs. And it'd just be really great to see that promoted.
I agree. Well, thank you for sharing that. What is your idea, Maya? What would you like to see in the county for teenagers, or it doesn't have to be for teenagers, it could just be in general?
I like kind of have a mix of both of what they were saying. I think that we definitely need to bridge the gaps between like the different communities within our county. Like there's such huge gaps between experiences of students at Kankakee High School, at BBCHS. When it comes to
that's what I've heard a lot of tonight, by the way. I've heard a lot of gaps between all of your schools. There's
so many gaps when it comes to resources and opportunities that are available. Like even in the conversation where she was talking about poverty and how that has such a huge effect on students every single day. Like there can be lots of initiatives at schools that prepare you for the future. But when you're in that kind of environment, you're thinking about right now. Like you don't have time to think about the future.
Survival
that's not
mode.
It's not a privilege that's afforded to you. And so I think that like community-wide initiatives like this one, or where we can kind of either create spaces for councils of students, but also adults and politicians as well, where we can really do some groundwork on bridging those gaps, providing funding, coalitions, and different things that really work to reaching out to the community, and provide resources that are necessary to build up each of our communities. Because there's like so much equity work that can be done that we haven't even like tapped into. And there's so much potential and in different communities and different spaces that aren't even like afforded because they don't have that opportunity. We're lacking resources and there's so much inequity. And I really think that like we can do work within our government, our local officials for pushing and doing advocacy work like that, but then also coming together, whether it's like an organization like this or a recreational center where you can kind of take away those added layers that kind of separate us from one another, but so that we can have conversations to really understand and like see what work can be done, so that that's not like an obstacle anymore.
Yes. Yeah, that's huge.
And to help like bridge that Maya's idea with the government is that there's a USDA program where local farmers can give foods to schools, and I feel like if we take like help from local farmers to feed our schools, that would definitely help with the community between our different towns and schools, and also help because our school has free lunches and free breakfast, so that would also help with funding, so we could put funding into other places. And
Yeah, I know there are some schools in the county that actually have to cut some of their funding for the cafeteria, so they offer less food options that would probably be better for the students, versus some of the options that they can offer. So yeah, that's definitely needed. Well, we're pretty much at time. I don't know if there's any last thing that any of you want to say, or any questions, any thoughts? No? Just a pin drop.
I guess I will say thank you so much for coming here today and speaking with us and asking important questions and getting our level of perspective, because that doesn't happen a lot of times when you see it. They're at like higher levels of like the principals and superintendents. So thank you for coming here and getting the views of students that are experiencing things and asking really important questions and very serious questions.
Of course, I take all of you very seriously. You're talking about being inclusive and equity and things like that. There has been a lot of initiatives to get that going, but I truly do believe that it is this generation that is going to fulfill that gap. When you get into the positions that, the millennials are at right now, that's when you're going to be really pushing that. So I look forward to seeing what, this generation does. So, all right. Thank you all so much for being a part of Kankakee Podcast. This has been so much fun.
Yes. Oh, let's give Jake a round.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this important conversation with the Pledge for Life Partnership Youth Advisory Council. I'd like to thank Jim Schreiner and Brenda Wetzel for having me out. These young leaders have offered such valuable insights to the challenges and opportunities facing Kankakee County's youth, and I hope their voices inspire all of us to take action in supporting the next generation. If you'd like to learn more about the Youth Advisory Council or get involved with local youth programs, be sure to check out the links in the episode description. Shout out to Jeff and Rosa Carroll for supporting the show each month through Patreon. If you want your name announced on a future episode, sign up at patreon.com/Kankakee Podcast. Special thanks to our sponsors, Chicago Dough Company, Noble Dairy Queen Stores, Frank's Appliance Center and Sleep Source, Pigosh Engineering, King Music, Little Me Studio, Taco John's, D. Westfall Jewelers, and Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Adam Elroy. As always, thank you for listening to Kankakee Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who cares about the future of our community. I'm Jake LaMore. Take care and talk soon.